Hey guys, so I ordered two eyeshadow palettes during the Sephora VIB sale, and they're not totally similar, but they have sort of a similar kind of feel. They both have a lot of pinks in them. So I thought I would kind of combine both of these and compare the two, especially since the VIB sale is still going on. And if you wanted to, I don't know, see if you wanted to get both, see if you wanted to get one over the other one, I thought maybe this video would be helpful. So I am talking about the NARS Unrated eyeshadow palette and the Patrick Ta Major Dimension 2 Rose palette, and that is this guy. So I'm going to be doing one look from each and kind of giving you my thoughts, and I don't know if we'll make this like a showdown if I like one better than the other, but this will be a first impressions for both. So why don't we go ahead and, I'm like, what should I start with? I'm going to start with the NARS. And here is a close look at the palette. And we've got 16 shades here. And here are some swatches. These shades actually have names. So I swatched them the way they appear in the palette. So I went 4 across and then I went down. So going from the top, going left to right, we have Isla, Crete, Spagia Rosa, Orgasm. Then next we have Laguna, Satisfy, Palmetto, and Komodo Island. Next we have Palmas, Bird of Paradise, Taj Mahal, Love on Fire. And then we have Tikehau, Summer Moon, Bad Intentions, and Fetish. So it looks like we have 5 mattes in here, these 4 and this over here. And then we have some shades that are like a very subtle satin shade. This one, and this one up here. And then the rest are all like a metallic or multi-chrome or like a kind of like a top coat glitter, which you saw in my swatches. So that is what we're dealing with. I really like this mixture of finishes. I do like that the mattes are this really lovely range of like transition shades. So I am going to start there. I'm going to start with my Soon-Yi Worker 3 brush. I'm going to go into this top shade right here. This one actually is like a little bit lighter. I didn't know if my eyes were kind of playing tricks on me, but this one is a little bit lighter. I'm going to go into this top one, which is Isla, and just pick up a little bit. There's a nice big mirror in here, by the way, which is really lovely. And I'm just going to start the outer corner here. And this matte shade is working quite nicely. Very pigmented. In fact, I feel like it's a little bit darker than it appears in the palette. A little bit. Just going to bring that in a little bit here and blend that out. Very nice, very easy to apply. Okay, next, I really want to use this shade. This is like a metallic brown kind of peachy shade. It actually swatches a little bit differently than how it appears in the pan, but I'm really excited by this shade. It's one of the reasons why I bought this palette. So I'm just going to use the same brush. There isn't much of the other product on there. Go into this shade and really deepen up my outer corner with this. I like the subtle like gold sparkle it has. It's so pretty. All right, well, another successful shade, really nicely pigmented, blended out easily, very easy to use. All right, so far so good. Next, I want to put a lighter satin shade. Gosh, we have a few options here. We have this Orgasm shade. We have these 2 shades here. This one could actually be fun too. Let's do this one. Let's do this fun shade down here. That one is called Summer Moon. And I'm going to use a flat shader. I've got my Rougher number 2 brush here. And I'm just going to swipe that on the lid. This is very pretty. It's like a lilac-y pink with some gold sparkle to it. This is actually how I thought the Charlotte Tilbury shade in her new quad. Yeah, I thought that's how this shade was going to look. on my lid, and it didn't. It was much, much warmer. So yay, I'm glad this one is giving me my like lilac purple feels. So I'm gonna line my lower lash line. Of course, my instinct was to go with this one, but maybe I'll try this one. I wonder if it's gonna make me look sick. Well, let's try it. I've got my Sonia G Smudger 1 brush. I'm gonna go into this purpley metallic shade and drag this along my lower lash line. A little bit. I feel like it gives me a little bit of that like red eye, pink eye look. Okay, maybe what I'll do is layer some of this deeper brown shade on top and see how that looks. Okay, that toned down the purple a little bit, but I still see some of it. All right, I like that like layered look. I don't do that often, especially not on my lower lash line. I'll do the same thing on my other eye here. So starting with that purple shade. Yeah, I think that definitely gives me that like sick pink eye look. Okay, and I'm gonna throw that deeper brown shade on top. Much better, much better. I think that's it. I used 5 shades, 5 out of the 16, not too many, but very consistent with NARS shadows. Nothing really surprising. I think if you have experience with NARS shadows, this won't be surprising to you at all. Yeah, the experience is very similar to other eyeshadow palettes that I've used from NARS. If you've never used NARS palettes before and this one is intriguing to you, I think it's great. I would say that it is beginner friendly. I would say it's easy to use. And I would say that while there's a really nice variety of shades and formulas, it's not too crazy where you open it up and you just don't even know where to start. I think it's easy to use in a lot of ways. So that's my first impression of this unrated NARS palette. So this is my NARS look. I'm not going to bother putting on mascara because I'm going to take all this off and we're going to jump into the Patrick Ta Major Dimension 2 palette. All right, and now for the Patrick Ta Major Dimension 2 palette. Here is a close look at the shades. So we've got 2 cream shadows over here on the left-hand side, and then we have 10 shades. So I did the same thing in terms of swatching. I swatched the top row across the top and then the row underneath, right underneath it. So these also have names. They're a little hard to read, but from left to right, the top row, we have Loyal, which is the cream shade, Affair, Desire, Lust, Romance, and Adore. And then the second row, the cream shadow, is Unfaithful. Then we have Heartache, Passion, Devotion, Amour, and Crush. So much like the first palette, we have, again, those 2 cream shadows over here, and then these are all matte shadows, and then we have some really beautiful metallic shades, glittery top coats, just a lot of fun. Some of these are like a little multi-chrome in there. Really, really pretty. I'm just gonna hold this up to the first Major Dimension palette, and you'll see that the shades are quite different, and the color story is quite different. So the top is the original, and then this is the Rose palette. So quite a bit pinkier, as you can see, and I would say a little bit more vibrant. I don't know if I would overall say that this palette is deeper, but it's more vibrant. Like we have this shadow here, which is brighter. This is just a little bit more subdued. And interestingly enough, the cream shadows in the first one are deeper than the cream shadows in the second one, at least this top shade here. But we have something just a little bit more neutral leaning, and this one is just a lot more pink in tone with some peachy warmth right over here. Now, I remember when I got the first palette, I was actually surprised at how much I really enjoyed it. And I even thought to myself, when I purchased it before I used it, that I probably wouldn't be using the cream shades, but I really, really enjoyed the cream shades in the first palette. So I'm gonna start there with this one. I've got my Sonia G Worker Pro Brush. This is cream product friendly, and I'm gonna go into the top cream shade here. And these are nice to use as a base, if you will. So I'm just going to lay this down. Ooh, this is actually such a pretty, like nudie pink shade. This would be such a great lip color. What do you even use these on the lips. I'm sure you could. If you can put them on the eyes, I'm sure you can put them on the lips. Huh. I don't know. If you guys know, let me know down below in the comment section. But yeah, what a pretty like lip color this would be. And these cream shadows are like really, really easy to use. I thought maybe they'd be a little bit fussy. I don't know. I didn't know what to expect when I got the first palette. But after having used the cream shadows in the first palette and now this one, I really, 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 really like these cream shadows. I wonder if you'd ever consider coming out with just a cream shadow palette. Would anyone be into that, or is that just me? I'm just going to use the brush that I used to blend in my concealer. I'm going to use that to buff out the edges here of this cream shadow, just so it doesn't look so stark. Yeah, just soften up the edges a little bit. Yeah, I just really, really love these cream shadows. Okay, I'm going to move on to one of these matte shadows. I think I'm going to go with this one over here, and it actually looks very, very similar to the cream shade I put on, so we'll see if there's any difference there. Using my number 7 Refer brush, and just gonna apply over this cream shadow. This cream shadow, it's like, I wouldn't call it tacky. It's not one of those eyeshadow primers, if you will, but there's a little bit of grip to it, a little bit more than just, at least for me, more than my plain skin. So I would say this powder shadow is just a little bit deeper than the cream base. I'm just wiping off that brush, and I'm actually going to use it and go into this matte shade. It's so funny. I am, I love satin shades on my lids. Very rarely do I do like an all matte eye look. I just feel like it just looks dry and a little unfinished. But there's something about this palette that's really, I don't know, it's inspiring me to use a lot more of the mattes than I normally would. Okay, I'm gonna grab this shade in the middle here. That one is called Lust. It kind of goes from like a cool toned lilac purple to a gold. So very intriguing. I'm just gonna use my finger and tap it. I feel like I'm ending up with a very similar look to the NARS, aside from that deeper brownish color that I used. I'm gonna have to do something pretty different here. Yeah, let's go into this shade here, this deep kind of like wine colored satin shade. And I'm gonna use that to deepen up my outer corners here. I've got my Refer number 13 brush. This is like a small shader. And I'm just gonna add this to my outer corner here, deepen that up with some purpley tones. And it's just slightly blackened. I think you can see that in the pan. It's just slightly blackened, but it's not too much. It's not like too dramatic. Wow, that applied really nicely. I think I may be able to use this shade along my lower lash line because it does have that black in it. So I'm gonna wipe off that Smudger 1 brush that I used with the NARS palette and use it here. Nice, okay. All right, wow. I really like both of these palettes. Okay, let me go ahead and finish up my makeup look, and then I'll be right back to kind of give you my closing thoughts on these two palettes. All right, here is my final look. I decided to go with one of my Dries Van Noten lipsticks, this satin shade, which I am in love with. And now that I'm not playing around with perfumes or anything, I can definitely tell you that these lipsticks have a fragrance. It's like a rose. Maybe that's it, like a rose scent. But I don't taste it, which is good. And it doesn't linger for too long on the lips. But anyway, this shade that I'm wearing, oh my God, I think it's, number 14. It's a satin finish, and I will list it down below in my description box. But I'm loving these Dries lipsticks. They're really, really comfortable, and I love the colors, and yeah, they're just great. Anyway, back to the eyeshadow palettes. I have to say, it's so strange because if I were to think about these palettes, I don't know, objectively, just sort of looking at them, I would say I like the NARS palette more. You have more options. You have a wider color range. I like the mattes that they've got going on in here and the different finishes, like all of that. But there's just something about this Patrick Ta palette. I don't know if it's the cream shades. I don't know if the simplified color story is actually better for someone who's pretty basic like myself. But I love this range of mattes. And then I love these like satin metallic to like topper shades. Just really pretty and really straightforward. And I think if I were to recommend, yeah, one over the other, I would say the Patrick Ta. There's just something about it. I find it a little bit more inspirational, a little bit more inspirational than the NARS. The NARS, I feel like I pull it out and I want to do looks that I normally do, where the Patrick Ta, like I was saying, I was really inspired to use, I wanted to use just all mattes and see what I would do, or I could see myself using one of these cream shadows as like a one and done. I don't know, it just kind of, I don't know, pulled out the creative side. So I would go with this one. I would go with this one. I really enjoyed using this just now. It's really a lot of fun and very beautiful and performed beautifully. And that's it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe down below if you haven't already. And I will see you in my next video.